high winds, tornadoes, hail. It is storm season in Oklahoma. It can do damage to your roof, and you really don't know if damage has been done unless someone gets up there and actually looks at it. But you want the right eyes on it. You want to make sure that it's a company that you can trust, that has a reputation that's stellar. So if you're looking at getting your roof checked out, redone, these are the guys that can help you. Belter Roofing and Construction, they are the best. Owned by Corey Belter, great guy, strong Christian, man of integrity, and that's the way he leads the company. They're one of 9 companies in the state with the highest certification possible. They're backed by a lifetime warranty, and their commitment is quality and customer satisfaction. These are the guys you can trust. Belter Roofing and Construction. You'll know the difference when you have them out. They'll come out, do a full walkthrough, tell you exactly what they're going to do. They'll take care of the insurance for you. They don't have a single negative review on Google or with the BBB. I don't know about you, but I only trust the best. Belter Roofing and Construction, they are the best. They'll come out, do a free inspection. You can trust them with your roof. Give them a call. It's 405-952-7777. They have the top certifications, lifetime warranties. So if you want the best of the best looking at your roof, look no further than Belter Roofing. They're here to help you. Call them, Belter Roofing and Construction. 405-952-7777. That's Belter Roofing and Construction.
This is the Jake for the State podcast, and this is the call for every red-blooded, God-fearing, liberty-loving patriot to prepare yourself, take your position, stand your ground, and advance the cause of freedom. Let's go.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Jake for the State podcast. And of course, like I've been saying, it's election season. So giving a lot of candidates an opportunity to come on and talk about themselves, their platform, why they're running, what they hope to see changed here in the state of Oklahoma. And my next candidate is Pamela McNall-Granier. It's just a fun name to say. Welcome to the show, Pamela.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. I appreciate you getting in touch with me, and modern technology hurdles are now taken care of. Yes, thank you.
Yes, exactly. Well, we don't want to jump the gun. We're not done yet, so we'll see if we make it through the show. But Pamela, you are jumping into this race for Senate District 31, right?
That's correct, sir. Yes, I am.
Okay, so incumbent, there will be no incumbent, but the current senator currently is Chris Kidd. I served with Chris Kidd during my time in the Senate as well. He announced that he would not be running, and I guess there were some issues with his residency and everything as to whether he was even qualified to run. But we can set that aside for a minute. You decided to run. Remind us, where is Senate District 31?
Yes, thank you. Senate District 31 encompasses all of Jefferson County, a little bit of Stevens County. The lines are very crazy. They're not black and white. So part of Duncan itself is included, but it's Old 7 and then up to the bypass, and then west of that going towards Comanche County, so going up to Lawton, then it comes back down, so then it goes into Cotton County, and then it goes over to Love County. So
Okay. So I know everybody down in southern Oklahoma probably knows what you're talking about, especially those in District 31. But we got an idea. It's down there, southern Oklahoma. And have you lived there? How long have you been in that district?
So we've been here, my husband and I have been here 3.5 years. So we moved from New Mexico.
You said 3 years?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
And yes, so November, October will be 4 years that we've been here in Oklahoma. And so we moved, when we first moved here, we moved into Waurika, which is, just right there, and just over the Red River. And
Right.
yeah, and so we were there for about a year and a half or two. And so, yeah, and then we moved up here to Comanche, and because we just needed more pasture land for the cows, because 5 acres was kind of tight. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, How long have you been a Republican, Pamela?
Oh my gosh, I have been a Republican since probably, I want to say I was a senior in high school. I'm not going to date
Okay.
myself, so it's been a while. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you when I
A few
graduated.
years.
Yeah,
All right, 5 or 6 years.
sure. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
No. So, how long have you been politically engaged? Because, I was a Republican for most of my life as well, and I showed up to vote, but, not really engaged politically. Just curious about what that's looked like for you.
So, that's a great question, and that's a great differentiation as well. So I would say, so my grandmother was a huge influence on my political, platform. Again, that was, she was a hardcore Democrat, but that was a different Democrat rate, party back then also.
Sure.
Um, so I mean, I'm like part of the DAR, which is Daughters of the American Revolution. I remember going to those meetings and not really understanding, but eating the mints. I remember that. And then, so when I was 6 years old, I was a page in the New Mexico Senate. And so I probably got my first bite of that, I guess, politically. And then being in the military, of course, Ronald Reagan was getting out, and oh, I kind of dated myself. Anyway, and so so he was huge. He was huge as far as my thinking and solidifying my thinking. Um, and then in being in New Mexico, I was always yelling at the TV because it's just so far left and just outrageous. And then when my husband and I, when we moved to Oklahoma, I'm again, but the yelling at the TV was always at the federal level, and where we're at federally and how
Right.
just backwards we are. So I just, again, so when we got here, wasn't really that active and not really paying that much attention to it because again we were setting up the ranch and from Oklahoma or from New Mexico to Oklahoma, and so that was kind of that's where we were focused a little bit more. And then now that things have kind of gotten to where we need them to be on the ranch, I just started thinking, where is my senator? Wait a minute, what's going on? So I think that just kind of really reared its ugly head, if you will. Like, you know what? You need to take advantage of the fact that God has given you this voice, and don't waste God's breath and his voice on you. Don't waste that. Everything that he's given you, do something with it.
Right. You guys ranch, is that what you guys have been doing full time?
Since I've retired, yes. My husband works full time, so this is a working ranch, literally and figuratively. Again, I retired last September. My life was good. It was quiet.
What did you retire from?
So I worked for the federal government, Department of Energy, and I
Hmm.
worked. My last job with them was in HR. So.
Okay. Okay. Has that experience working with the Department of Energy opened your eyes in any way, shape, or form with regard to energy here in Oklahoma?
As a whole, I know we need to get back to drilling. And I would say yes. I'm finding out more and more things about how well. I mean, I knew how DOE was, and the fails that they were doing again at the federal level. I haven't looked into the DOE specifically here in Oklahoma because of what I know within DOE of what they, of where I was, you know, in Department of Energy. There's a lot of um, subgroups within DOE. It's not just, one big branch. There's a lot of different factions to it. So what I know as far as the nuclear part of it, we don't have here in Oklahoma. So to answer that question, I don't know as far as Department of Energy wise where we're at or where they're at here in Oklahoma.
Okay. Okay. What are the primary areas of concern or interest for you looking at the state level? If you were to be elected as a state senator, what areas are your top three as far as your priorities?
So the top concerns for me as a disabled veteran are, first of all, veterans. That's one of my main stances. We've lost over $10,000 from last year, so we get certain benefits as 100% disabled veterans, and part of that is we get part of our taxes we get capped off at let's just say 200,000. And so between last year and this year, we've lost $10,000 of our ability to go to a grocery store and say, okay, here's my tax exempt card. And so we don't pay that $5.23, on our grocery bill. And so we had a cap, like I was saying, at the end of the year, it was this certain amount. Well, now like I said, $10,000 has been cut off from last year. Where is that money going? Is that going to Ukraine? No one has been able to answer that. Again,
Right.
I don't know.
Is that an Oklahoma law that capped that?
Yes. So each state is different. So being 100% disabled in New Mexico, that's not a thing. So each state has different benefits for disabled veterans, and that's one of the ones that Oklahoma has. Right. The other issue that I am standing on is, first and foremost, actually I should have said that, is that I am voting the Bible. So I am definitely pro-life. The other thing that I am one of the things, the main platform that I'm also running on is the ranching aspect, of course. We've got a lot of things that are at the federal level that are trying to trickle down to the state level. I don't know if you know, but we just recently had the tracking devices in the ear tags. Some
the
people
RFID.
Yes. And they're like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, but is it really? Is it really? We need to look at, again, the overreach that the federal government is doing and the state government as far as, oh, we're going to go ahead and track your animals. I don't believe that you need to track my animals. Yes, we have a small enough herd that I can go outside and, like I did this morning, to check on them after the storms, make sure that they're all good and make sure that they're okay. But we can take care of our own animals. We don't need any help from the state or the federal government taking care of our animals. We do a very good job. Thank you very much. So yeah, there's just, the overreach, the big pharma. I'm not for big pharma whatsoever. Again, as a disabled vet, I got enough shots during boot camp, so I don't need any of that crap anymore.
Yeah, I'll ask you this. You're welcome to respond or not. Don't want to invade into your privacy, but part of going into public life is kind of exposing yourself. And so I'm thinking about the questions that other people would be curious to know about you and curious about your disability. Obviously, we have a president who is completely incapacitated. I mean, with all of his multiple dysfunctions. And so there's concern. Are the people we are elected, are they physically able to do the job? So curious about that disability.
So I have multiple sclerosis. And so that's multiple things. And, I mean, I take medication and.
Would that, do you believe, hinder you in any way from fulfilling the functions of a state senator?
No. I can ride a bike and without falling over. And, and my response is still going to be, to the constituents. It does not take a disability to be able to reach back out to somebody if they have a question, Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and I mentioned the top priorities for you. Among them, you're talking about pro-life being a high priority. You talked about the farming and ranching industry. What are the priorities to the people when you're going out door knocking, engaging with the public during your campaign? What are you hearing from them as far as their top concerns?
So I'm hearing a plethora of concerns and issues. A lot of them are at the federal level, like gas prices, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, we that's so I have to remind them, okay, so state level and federal level, different things.
Right.
But I do get a lot of mental health, that we don't have a lot of mental health doctors and outlets, here in Oklahoma. And I have seen that here in Comanche. We just don't, we've got these little pockets of like Duncan Regional Health. Well, maybe if we went outside of, Duncan Regional Health, we don't have to stay under that umbrella every single time. Um, so I've been getting the mental health issues. I've been getting, let's see what else. I don't I get some stuff as far as um, what about officers and their overreach sometimes, like with guns and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not running for sheriff. As long as the sheriff is good with the Second Amendment and is going to back the Second Amendment, then that's what I'm concerned about as well. Um, and but most of the people, they seem to be on board with with some of those things. I mean, we've been going to a lot of meet and greets, and I haven't really been getting a lot of questions that are outside of what I'm standing on.
Wonderful. Yeah. When you talk about pro-life, we recently had the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade, essentially bounced it back to the states. Here in Oklahoma, we had our trigger law that went into effect immediately and shut down abortion clinics across the state. So we currently have no active abortion clinics in the state of Oklahoma. What more needs to be done in Oklahoma concerning abortion?
I think that outreach might be part of that, and if that might be at the or within the churches as well. There are a lot of young women out there that don't know what to do, and they don't know where to turn. And I've been seeing a lot of things coming, across my emails, as far as, if we had an ultrasound, then the women that are out there and they don't know, and they think, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and I'll use abortion. But once they have that ultrasound and they see that baby, then their minds, then they change their minds. And I think that's great. Um, Personally, we just found out that we're going to be grandparents, first time grandparents. So that is, we're just over the top with that. And so again, so now it becomes even more personal than just being a woman. It's just like, oh my gosh, but again,
Yeah.
the outreach, and let's give these young women, choices, as far as, you're not going to be by yourself. And again, voting the Bible, and bringing things back to, biblical truths, as far as, what, you're wonderfully made, God loves you, and let's go ahead and see what we can do, the next steps. Just, if the father is like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with this, you know what, you're still not going to be alone. You have a family out there.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Recently, Governor Stitt signed into law House Bill 4156, and this would deal with illegal immigration. And, we've been hearing a lot. Obviously, I think it's probably one of the chief concerns for people across the nation. And we're hearing constantly that every state is a border state, directly being impacted from the illegal invasion over the southern and northern border. And so now we have this law that Governor Stitt just signed that would do something on illegal immigration. What are you hearing from your district concerning the border, and what do you feel would be the proper response to it here in Oklahoma?
So, I hear, again, so that, the meet and greets, I definitely hear shut the border. I haven't met any one person saying, oh no, I think it's fine. Again, we need to shut the border. Yes, and every state is a border state. When you have illegal immigrants coming through, just bum rushing the border, which is basically what's happened lately is, I mean, all it has, it's a simple law. It's a simple, the president can do that. And the fact that Governor Stitt is going to go ahead and give that power back to us, back to the state and the law enforcement, it needs to be shut. And so whenever an officer does run into an illegal, arrest them. And you know what? Do we need to send them to the White House? I don't know. Do we need to send them to Martha's Vineyard? I don't know. But we need to get them out of the state. I totally back, Texas, and we need to shut the border. They're illegal. Bottom line, they are illegal.
Right, right. Concern with that law, it would activate what they call the impermissible occupation, where if they are here working, some may be here working for a long time, and so I've been hearing some in the construction side of things that they're concerned that this would eliminate their crews, and hearing from some families saying it would break up their families. And Governor Stitt came out with that executive order as well, saying that he's going to assign this task force to study this and to give feedback as far as how to help people get work visas and things like that. Where do you stand on this issue of looking at disruption to families, disruption to businesses here in Oklahoma? Does deporting them take precedent over that, or is there a better way to do that? Just curious, looking at the whole border situation here in Oklahoma.
That's interesting. So my husband is in construction, and he's been doing construction for over 30 years. And so he runs heavy equipment, and the company that he works for, they do not hire illegals. They have, they're American citizens. And whether they got that legally or they were born here, but they are legal citizens. So again, there are those probably one-offs right about now that are coming over for the legal, and they're hardworking, and we all know that. Not all of them, but the ones that are trying to, to make themselves better, and to, support their family. And that's always been a slippery slope. And as far as the families being broken up, I don't know. That's a whole ball of wax with talking to other people and getting a bunch of ideas and working on something. But again, letting so many people come through the border that we know are known criminals, that's completely different than the hardworking people that are, just coming up just from Mexico. That are not coming from the Darien Gap. We know that that's a bad element. So I don't know. I'm still, close the border. You're an illegal. That when you're coming over the border, darn well that you are committing, or that you are breaking the law. That these people coming across the border, and you've seen pictures of them on TV, their tennis shoes are clean. They're not ragged. They've got good shirts on, good t-shirts on and stuff. So it's like, the people that are sending them here and bringing them here, they know that they're doing wrong. They cannot be that ignorant to the fact that they're going to a different country and not breaking some sort of a law. Right. I can't believe that,
Pamela, what makes you the most qualified candidate here for District 31, Senate District 31?
So I believe that I am the best qualified for Senate District 31 because of the fact that I live in this district. I am just like everybody else in this district. I'm paying the prices of cattle feed. I am against big pharma. I am going to listen. I'm going to respond back to the people in this district. And I am going to let everyone know what's going on. If I get a bill or if I get some sort of legislation and it's 220 pages and I have a day and a half to read this and approve it or not, I'm going to reach out to my this group of people that I'm going to be selecting and talking to, and say, you know what, you take 10 pages and you take 10 pages and give the information to the people. And then they can get back to me and say, you know what do you, and then have that discussion, because we've all had a piece of this legislation of these 220 pages. And that way everyone knows what is trying to be passed up at the state. And I'm figuring, you know what? It's about time we've had a woman in here, and why not me?
Transparency. I think that most people are all in favor of more transparency and accountability when it comes to government. And right now in the Senate, one of the big issues is the transparency with the budget. And Pro Tem Treat, he made that a priority at the beginning of the year, and recently we're seeing this change of guard with the Appropriations Committee. But when it comes to the budget, transparency, how do you think we should approach the budget in a way that is transparent, where the people are informed and understand where their tax money is going?
It doesn't seem to me that it can be that difficult, that they have to hide where the money is going, how they're spending it. Again, why can't they just tell us, look, this is how much money we brought in, and if we need to break it down that it's quarterly, then fine, break it down quarterly instead of at the end of the year, and say, you know what, this is how much money we have, and just break it down. Show us, this is where this money went, and just man up. Men and women, just, own up to where this money is going. I don't get why there needs to be so much shenanigans. I really don't.
How about with tax reform? This is an issue that Governor Stitt said it was one of his chief priorities. They got the grocery tax dealt with this year, but the House seemed like they wanted to do more. Governor wanted to do more. The Senate said they're not going any further. Do you think we should go further with more tax cuts and tax reform?
I think as long as it's going to benefit the constituents within Oklahoma that are legal citizens, then yes, I don't have a problem with that. I think that, again, once we see that transparency of where the money is going and what needs to be allocated, like we were talking earlier, as far as, young women and, the health that if they're pregnant and the health that they need for their baby, that could be something. But again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking that they're just making it too hard for the citizens of Oklahoma. And they're trying to make it hard for the citizens of Oklahoma to try to keep up. I don't know.
I think that we live in pretty tight times. We're seeing groceries go up, gas go up, and any kind of tax relief would be good. But the easier we can make it on Oklahomans, the better. I'll bounce it to you, Pamela, to just closing comments. You're speaking to your district. Why should they vote for you come June?
Again, I'm just like them. I'm paying the prices that they are, and I'm feeling their pain, and I'm empathizing with them exactly. When empathizing exactly where they're at when they're going to the gas pumps, when they're going to the grocery stores, when they're going to their local grocery stores, and helping out the small businesses. And again, the transparency, that's what I'm really trying to get that across to people, and letting them know that, you know what, once I get in, you call me, I'm going to reach out to you, whether it's text or whether I'll give you a call back. I'm going to be that person that, maybe not at 2:00 in the morning, but I'm going to be able, I'm going to reach back out to you. You have an issue, I'm going to reach back out to you. And I'm going to let you know, hey, these are the shenanigans they're trying to pass up here at the house. We need to stop. We need to drain the swamp at the state level, and hopefully that trickles up to the federal level.
Wonderful. Pamela, I appreciate your time today, and good luck. God bless on the rest of this campaign. You have a few weeks left, and so I know you're giving it your all, so we look forward to seeing how this turns out.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate your time.
You bet, Pamela. God bless. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Jake for the State podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and share. Tell people about it, because we're getting the word out about Oklahoma, about the things that are directly impacting the state, and none more than the people that we are electing. So be sure to mark it on your calendar, the upcoming primary. Get out there and vote yourself and get behind the right candidates. All right, God bless. I'll see you next time.